now I don't need to tell every time. I think all of us here that the meeting is being recorded. And so in any case you don't want to show your face or your name, is easy to remove from the screen and still continue following the studies. We are continuing the study of Joanna de Angelis' book, Alert. Today we are in lesson 43. As we always explain, those lessons are individual topics. So if you're just joining today, there is no problem in, in following what we are going to be talking about today. As always, we will read little passages from the topic from of today, and we stop for you to make comments, to ask questions, to contribute in any way you can. Okay, so the topic today is angst and peace. Prevent angst. This bothersome, insidious, and continuous sadness drags you to a disturbing state. This unjustified, persevering, burdensome dissatisfaction leads you to an unpredictable imbalance. The resentment you preserve, vitalized by an illogical outrage, impels you towards insanity. Well, um, as you will see, Joanna de Angelis is trying to alert us about the damages that we can cause to ourselves when we do not control our emotions. And the emotion that she's talking about today is this is a state of anguish that sometimes we place ourselves. Um, Considering what we have been living in the past almost year and a half, it has been very, very difficult for everyone, losing, uh, their lifestyle, the contact with friends, with family, jobs, etc. So I would say that in this past year and a half, even if we look at the numbers, of suicide, for instance, it has increased considerably during the pandemic as well, that we can relate the topic of today to everything that is happening. So here she's telling us how damaging us giving ourselves to anguish can be to us. Um, and the more we resent, we hold grudges against, against God, against your family, against the virus, against the government. I mean, things that are not going to solve our problems per se. The more we will even get crazy with everything that is happening and how we feel. So this is what we have to keep in mind. Um, as always, especially when we are talking in those lessons about emotions, I understand that they are very difficult because, well, we are only humans, average humans, and it's difficult not to feel the ups and downs of life and not to feel this kind of pressure sometimes. But here the idea is for us to be aware and to realize that is not going to take us to a good place. The more we give ourselves to this kind of negative emotions. Deepak Chopra has a book, I think, that he calls Negative Emotions, or he talks a lot about negative emotions. This is one of them. I mean, the more we give room to them, the more they will take root, and more difficult it will be for us to return to a state of balance. Questions and comments?
Uh, Josiah,
Yes.
I have a question. I was typing it, but I could tell you. My question is: could the spirit world could prepare the spirits more mentally fit, prepare once before they incorporate in a physical body? So then we don't have to deal with this in our lives. They they should have a responsibility. Uh, I feel.
Yeah, you see, Orlando, that's a very good question because, like we always mention, it would be so good. I mean, it's not good, let's say. It would be such a relief if I could blame everyone else but myself, right?
But you just
As,
had a
as
when you say ourselves, it's like using the word humans.
No,
I
I'm
see.
not using. I'm not using human.
No,
I'm
no.
saying ourselves as spirits, as
Oh,
immortal spirits. Okay,
okay.
it doesn't matter whether we have a denser physical body or a more ethereal one, which is the perispirit, the spiritual body. We are always talking about the self, which means the spirit. As far as we know, even in the literature that we have from the spirit Andrea Lewis and dictated to the medium Francisco Candido Xavier, we see how careful reincarnations are discussed and prepared in the spirit realm. The courses that we go through, the details of our physiological body, all of that, we have all of that before incarnation. But the thing is, we would be complaining if we felt ourselves just to be puppets in the hands of God. And we complain because God did not make us puppets and gave us free will. And then we complain because we have free will and we make bad choices. So the thing here is we making choices. I still prefer my freedom. And okay, I've been getting into a lot of trouble because of that, because of bad choices along the so many incarnations. But I still prefer to be the one that is choosing, that is responsible, and not just uh, a science fiction movie where everyone comes in line, like we have some books and movies that we could see this way. So in this sense, we are well prepared, but especially when we are talking about uh, the ailings of the soul, of the spirit, is something that is difficult for us to deal with. Guilty feelings, for instance. Let's say that we were one of those, horrible dictators from the past that just wanted to conquer lands, killing people with disregard for their everything. And now we are in a different position. We are more aware of things, but it's still the guilty of what we have provoked is with us. And in a way, when we are in the spirit realm, they say, here the idea is not for you to delay yourself in guilt, in anguish emotions, like, I'm a bad person, I'm never going to get better, look at what I did, I know all of this, and I still doing not the way I would like to be doing, not so well. No, the idea is not that. The idea is for us to own our actions and to move forward. And that's why, in a way, she's saying, if we keep on concentrating on the negative aspects of what we did or what happened to us or what is happening to us, we don't see the rest. This is what normally we say here. You have a whiteboard with a single
Hey,
uh, sorry, let me see if I
how you
can
doing?
Just 1 second here. Sometimes I
Sure.
don't. Oops. Okay, mute. All right. We so and we have this whiteboard with a single black point and we representing something that is not going so well, and we just see the 0.1% small dot that is there and do not see all the rest. So this is what she's telling here to us, for us not to aggravate our situation. Okay, let me read a little bit more and then we comment more. What overcomes you in the form of melancholy, which you accept, pushes you into a bottomless abyss. What frequently emerges, installing itself in your mental landscape with constant pressure, represents the outbreak of serious problems. What you mull over, causing you pain and discomfort, impels you to unhappy states which torment you. So here she continues going on, talking about everything that this kind of state provokes us, pain, discomfort, pressure. It's like, we get into a spiral, and we can move away from it. That's why it is so dangerous, especially when we are talking, like we said, about this kind of emotions that can lead us to deep depression. Not clinic depression, but depression is still depression. The a melancholic state. And again, we understand, and I'm sure Joanna de Angelis can see that. That's why she's bringing us this message, that we go through so many things in life that is that puts us, that may lead us to this kind of stage, to this deception with others, with ourselves, with God, whoever. But in a way, what she's trying to say here, okay, it is okay for you to feel, to respond to what life is bringing to you. But even in happiness, or in sadness, meaning extreme happiness and extreme sadness, do not stay that long, because it's not going to bring you any good. Not even, thinking that life is all good, because at the smallest sight of disappointment, you may fall big. Right? That's why, the balancing our emotions are so important. Questions, comments?
Just one last question. I'll keep my mouth shut. What about the topic of evil? I noticed that's not included, and that's part of how we are messed up in life. This evil, this thing called evil.
Orlando, evil is, or bad things, is completely related to that, because it's exactly our choice of of going through a path that will bring only detrimental, negative things to us, that will lead us to the state of anguish. Like, let's talk about, the youth. Parents go to their teenage son or daughter and say, don't do that, or don't start smoking, it's bad for your health, or don't do stupid things. And they will not hear to their parents until later on in life. If they have an illness that is a consequence of this action, they will say, oh my God, I should have done differently. And then on top of being ill, they feel this burden of guilty that will lead them to this anguish stage, to melancholic stage. You see, our with ourselves is the same. When you say, let's say you have an offer for two different jobs and you choose one versus the other because you wanted to get more money, and the other one you could have more professional satisfaction but didn't pay that much. And then you go there, you earn all this money, but you are completely unhappy with the situation. It could be the other way around as well. You could go with your inclinations and still then say, oh, I wish I had more money. But the thing is, we provoke all the situations to us, and we choose the path to good or bad. And the thing is, when we choose bad, not knowing, because sometimes we don't do that consciously. Okay, we do that out of ignorance. But when we choose bad, because for the moment it seems to bring me more immediate satisfaction, I'm not worrying with the future, but the future will come, and then I will have to deal with that. And this is what brings all this emotional disturbance to us. So again, it's our choice. Anyone else would like to make any comment or question? Okay, so let's go to the next one. Angst has various origins. It proceeds from errors that have been linked to you since previous reincarnations as a matrix that accepts real reasons or not to dominate those who should make efforts to level and conquer negative impressions and base compulsions. Truly, there is no reason which justify a state of angst. So here, what she's saying is, like we were talking about, many of those things may have its origin here in this incarnation, but many of them come from previous lives. Like I was saying, we cannot disconnect. We are the sum up of everything, all the experiences that we had throughout our existences. So I cannot say that I'm only level 10, ignoring the 0 to 9. I mean, it's part of me, it's part of who I am. I may even have overcome that, but the stages that I have had to go through, and it's something that we see, from the day a child is born to the day we die, we see, us accumulating experiences and things being related to the past as well, although what we are doing in the present is the most important things. The past should be, steps on a ladder to lead us each time higher. And so that's why she says, when we are dealing and thinking about spirituality and immortal life, we should not delay ourselves in those negative emotions. Again, we should use that as a way of pushing us forward, acknowledging, maybe feeling when things are happening and leading you to this way, but then you have to focus on moving forward. Questions, comments? Yes, Paul? You're on mute.
I'm better. Sorry.
Okay.
The only comment I'll make is, I when I look at the causes within the scope of previous reincarnations, is I know that in this existence, that patience and trust are two giant issues for me, and they cause angst. I'm impatient, especially when I'm leading a charge somewhere. And I want it now and I want it right. And then the trust part of that is when I don't expect it to happen that way. And the thing that I keep fighting actually is the need to stay calm and stop, because it's very difficult in the moment. to control the way you've done things for a very long period of time. You almost, for me at least, if I can remind myself to take a breath, literally a second, 2 seconds, I can know to make a more rational choice and good choice, as opposed to I need it now. Get it for me now. So, but I think it does go back to a lot of things that we're supposed to work on in this lifetime.
Yeah, and the thing, Paul, is that although it is still troubles you, which, you know, each one of us will have something, right? uh, it is such a step forward that you acknowledge that already. Because, you know, the first step would be to acknowledge what are my the points that I have, you know, the emotions that I have that are getting in the way, that are making me suffer, that are making me, you know, getting into this anguish stage. And once we know it, is one step forward to start dealing with that. And with that, having the understanding of, you know, immortality, right, of reincarnations, it brings more things into the picture as well for you to understand. And we don't need to know the details. I mean, we can think about 1,000 different ways why you have problems with patience and trust. That could be your fault or other faults or both, right? Because experiences that you had in the past. But knowing that this has a root that not necessarily you will find in this lifetime, will help you to liberate little by little from it. And sometimes, you know, we have a way of us ourselves labeling ourselves so much. I a few years ago, if you would ask me what would be one of, you know, those emotional problems for me, I would say the same as you, patience. I'm such an impatient person, you know. And then I don't know why in one of those strikes that happen, you know, a sudden moment that of realization, I said, I'm being so unfair with me saying that I am impatient. Even now that Jeff was asking me about how did I, you know, manage to get all this information from the Fox sisters, etc. I mean, that were hours and hours and days and weeks. I've been working on that for 6 months to get this kind of information, reading literature, looking here, looking there, getting, you know, distorted information. And then I start thinking, you know what? I was so used to call myself impatient that I didn't realize that I have outgrew that. Okay, maybe I'm still not there. Okay, there will be occasions that I want this to be done 3 months ago. It's not even yesterday, okay? But we see that with the realization, we progress, and it's good for us to realize the small victories that we are already having in relation to those things. So, but I think, you know, this is the path. You know, the most difficult one, especially when we are dealing with mainly the literature from the Spirit Joanna de Angelis. That, as I always like to point out, we're not substituting here Spiritism or Kardec with Joanna de Angelis. Joanna de Angelis come and she explains in a broader way what we have there in Kardec in terms of, you know, the know thyself, the inner transformation, the goal, the aim of reincarnation, and the series of reincarnations. So here she comes and she starts, you know, calling our attention, giving us tools to better deal with all that. Like she's saying here, she's leading us to reflect about that. What are you truly gaining when you put yourself in this state of mind? Or better yet, when you keep yourself, because I mean, I will say for myself, but I don't see myself in the short term not going through anguish. Okay, uh, even right now, I'm leaving that. I was looking at this lesson today, and I said, "Oh no, how can I talk about it if I'm kind of living that with a situation, you know?" But yeah, we will feel that. But the thing is, do not stay there. Okay, let's see what else. Angst numbs the mental centers of discernment and circulates the nervous mechanism, transforming you into an actual factor of alienation. It affects the psyche, body, and life, making the spirit sick. Well, this is what is so important. We never think about the consequences, the emotional, spiritual, and physical consequences of all that. I mean, it prevents us even to feel the flavor of, you know, the food that we are taking. If you are with friends, you don't benefit that much from that relationship at the moment, because your state of mind doesn't allow you to do that. Uh, it puts you in a sort of state of alienation, because we have a fixed thought. We don't see anything else except that particular thing that is keeping our mind busy, and it's keeping us in this mental state. So this is what she's saying, and kind of asking the question: does it really worth, when you think about all the price that you are paying? Okay, so repel angst, shining the sun on your shadow problems. She kind of tried to diminish. At the same time, she's saying it's, you know, it's that the little dark cloud that we bring around us. So let's the sun shine upon it. Do not become receptive to the appeals of melancholy, and disperse the plots that produce angst through prayer. So Joanna de Angelis, Divaldo always, when he has the opportunity, he talks about a common question that people ask him, especially when he's talking about the Joanna de Angelis literature, which is, how can I prevent negative thoughts? And the answer would be, substitute negative thoughts with good ones. Uh, if we just try to push away, it will resist. It will come back. But if we bring positive things, and positive things can be, you know, a good conversation with a family member, with a friend, watching, you know, a talk, participating in the study group, reading a good book that does not necessarily need just to be a spiritist book, you know, something, but that's something that is going to lift your spirit up. Think about, okay, I'm still impatient, but what a good friend I am already. Look, you know, you don't. I mean, this conversation is between you and yourself. Okay, we're not saying go brag about it to others. I mean, you can, but just think. I think that sometimes we forget so much to look at the victories we have, like, you know, the commitment. We are all here committing week after week to get to understand more, to expand the understanding of life, right? To keep an open mind and analyzing those, you know, this set of knowledge that is now being offered to us. And we make a commitment to be here week after week. Um, we are doing so many things, And I think we have to focus on that and not just on the negativity, on what we still lack. Uh, and, and, um, and this is not only something that uh, maybe we bring from years of oppression from religions where we really had, to to whip ourselves and say, "Oh my God, I'm not worthy. Everything is wrong. Everything is sin." The guilty that many of religions lead you to go. And here, that's why I think that Spiritism is so liberating when it tells us that there is nothing that is forbidden to you. It's so liberating. Okay, it will complement saying, but you have to deal with the consequences. But it's your choice. We're not saying do that or don't do that. You're learning from yourself. You're using your reason, your discernment to be able to decide what you want for yourself, what you want for your life. So I think it's so liberating, but we cannot ignore centuries and centuries of this mental process of feeling guilt, of piling up the imperfections that we have, and not being able to, or even sometimes being condemned to celebrate the small victories. Even parents sometimes, if a child comes to you and say, "Mom, Dad, look, I cleaned my room." Many times, what will be our answer? It will be, "Now you have to learn to clean the kitchen as well." Right? Something like that. Instead of applauding and say, "Oh, what a wonderful thing you're doing, keep up the good work," we will point out what is missing. "Oh, you had 10 tasks to achieve. You achieved 8. Instead of saying, "Oh my God, you did 8 already," you say, "You still have 2 on your list," right? This is us. And this is what we do to ourselves as well. We do not need even need others to do that to us. We do that to ourselves. We look at the list, and it's like, for instance, this weekend with the symposium, we had a survey, and there was one negative feedback that we had. We're only talking about it. And I say, people, come on. It's not that we are going to dismiss, okay, but look at the 90.9% of the feedback that we had that was good one. We had one answer that was bad. And just not to make you curious, the person was saying that somehow she had tried to get in contact with us, and we were not receptive. And we are, I mean, for the past 2 days, we've been like crazy trying to find an email of someone asking for help, because the person didn't sign the name. And we can't. So far, we are 4 people looking for, emails from the past, at least from the past year, and we are not finding it. And I said, look at how much energy we are spending on that and not thinking about all the positive feedback that we had. So this is what we do with ourselves. And this is what Joanna is telling us here. And I mean, this is not that I will not say that it's not a problem, but it's a shadow problem in relation to everything that we have, ahead of us. We cannot stay there. Otherwise, nothing in life will have this flavor. And then she says, foment peace. It is the antidote of angst. Because every time that we are under the domination of anguish, our tendency is to be aggressive, even with ourselves. Like, let's say that you are in a diet for one reason or another, it can be a diet to lose weight. It can be a diet because you have diabetes, cholesterol, or whatever. When you get into the state of mind, you are aggressive with your own body. We have the tendency of ignoring what is good for our health. Say, I don't care, or, the good resolutions go down the drain. And so this is why she's saying, putting peace into the picture as well. Exercise the mind with optimistic thoughts and cultivate hope. Because, we may feel ourselves surrounded by darkness, but darkness doesn't last. It may seem to last, but in the big picture of things, it will not. Work selflessly, doing for your neighbor what you claim you have never received. Peace is the fruit that springs in its own time after germination and development of goodness in the heart. Here, the work selflessly was exactly what we were talking before. Sometimes also when we are in this state of mind, we go into a self-destructive mode, and we think that nothing is worth. And I always remember one phrase is that the medium Francisco Cândido Xavier used to say that the best way for us to conquer our sadness, our troubles, is to dedicate to the sadness and troubles of others. We move away from just the I, from the me, and we start looking around and doing good things around. So to, instead of, being in bed all day, crying for things that you cannot change right now, it's better for you to build up, the good things that in time are going to show their fruits. Maybe it's not going to be in one day of work. I myself, when I felt like today that I told you, this past Tuesday have been kind of hard. I've been working no stop because it makes me feel good. It takes my mind away from things that I know that are destructive. And instead of feeling useless because I will just be giving myself to these negative thoughts, I'm producing something positive. I'm trying to do something positive. Okay, the first day, second day, third day, it is still something that I have to force upon myself. But then, when the more time goes by, the more I get into this rhythm of and moving away from what was negative. But if we keep on there, that's where we have so much problem. Comments, question?
I'm reading this book right now by Hazrat Inayat Khan. It's called Social Ethicus. And he's considered the person who brought Sufism to the West. And I was just reading this morning, it says that when one does an act of kindness for another, it is because one wishes to do it, because the action itself is one satisfaction, not a return, even in the form of appreciation. Any form of appreciation or return they think consumes and takes away the act of goodness or kindness that one has done. And so I'm kind of thinking of the message from Joanna de Angelis, and to be selfless and to do good for the sake of doing it. It's because it's good for us, as opposed to expecting, oh, they'll like me better now, or things are going to improve in my life because I took this good step. Rather doing it for the sake of doing it.
Yeah, that's wonderful that you brought that, Jeff, because there is one book that is one of my favorites in the Spiritism. I would say the second or third in my list, because the first one has to be the Medium's book. The second or third one would be the Paul and Stephen's. But in the second or third one, because they are together, is After Death by Leon Denis. I remember the first time I read this book, and because I was very much into religion, into, researching everything. I read about Sufism as well. I mean, I was fascinating with all of this. And this book made it so clear to me that there is just one truth. And it was always there from the beginning of times. And we are still trying to get there through different avenues. But the more we get closer to the truth, the more our thoughts and ideas are basically the same. We just wording in a different way, but it's absolutely the same. And I mean, what you read now is like you said, it goes along with what we are reading in Spiritism with Joanna de Angelis as well, because the truth is just one. And that's why, in a way, Spiritism always emphasizes this idea of not disrespecting other ideologies, religions, philosophies, because it's up to us to get there. Many of them are offering us good things. We are the ones that are not living up to it. And then she continues, never doubt God's love, because this is what we normally do when we are living this kind of situation. There is no God. I'm going to blame God. Where is God that is not taking care of all of this, right? After attaching your intentions to spiritual growth, transfer to a later time while acting with assurance what you cannot accomplish today. All angst dilutes under the running water of peace. Oh, that is so beautiful, right? Um, I think I was thinking about the serenity prayer now, right? I don't know it by heart, but in a way, it finishes by saying, grant me the ability to know the difference when I cannot do anything, right? But and be patient. In this case, we have to be patient. Patient with others, patience with patience with ourselves, and be absolutely sure. Like, I cannot go to a child and say, you're never going to grow. To them, when a child is like 7, 8, 10 years old, to them it seems that they will never grow. They will never reach maturity, like that thing that they wanted to go to adult lives, right? But they do. And they get to old age as well. And the thing is, sometimes we have a similar response to us in terms of mortal spirits. We think we're never going to go past this present stage, but we will. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of keeping doing the good work, keep up with the good work, and understanding that we are building that. Yeah, I guess that would be it for today. I don't know if you have any other comments. Yeah, we finished.
I like that statement about the running water of peace.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like I know, like when I was working on my PhD, like I was so overwhelmed because I had 200-300 pages to write, and I realized the only way that I could do it was just sentence by sentence, and one day write a sentence, the next day write a paragraph, And I feel like it's the same thing with my spiritual development. It's like, it's just sometimes forcing myself, sometimes it comes naturally, but trying to do a little bit every day, you know, and to see that this is a cumulative process. And, you know, small miracles come here and there, but in general, it's all about trying to do the work every single day, putting the effort in and the sweat and the hard work.
Exactly. That's exactly it. But again, since we're talking about that a lot today, let's finish with this thought. Let's look at what we have accomplished already, and be happy with that. Be content with that. Okay, there may be still a long way to go, but let's celebrate what we have accomplished and what we are doing today, and our today commitment to do more things, to engage even more ourselves, to help in any way that we can, and that should be enough to make us feel better about ourselves, right? Okay, so Philip, could you